So everybody should know it's Fred Moss and Sam Morris. We have a guest here, and we're actually starting late tonight, so none of you have to deal with that shit. Because what really happened is that we bumbled along, and our guest handled himself exemplary, and me and Sam were just like we were just tripping over each other, trying to get this stuff put together for our guest, who just waited so patiently for us to get our act together. And wow, Jerrod, really, really appreciate your patience while Sam and I put this gig together. I know your time is very valuable. I know your time is actually more valuable than the average human being. And, you know, you've mentioned that. We mentioned that. We know that. And then here we were just abusing your time. So, wow, a deep apology from me. And I'm sure I'm echoing a little bit of Sam's sentiments there. Sam, how you doing today? And what's up with that shit that we just went through?
I don't know, but I think my time, I'm just going to go back to the idea that my time is actually worthless, that it's actually not worth anything at all. I want to put everyone else's time ahead of my own, just to, sort of a kind of a masochistic sort of approach to time. Because people don't talk about that. People talk about time as money. People talk about, not wasting my time. I think I might go the other direction, just to be sort of contrary.
Cool. It's very cool.
Just to be contrary. My time is not shit. My time ain't worth a goddamn.
I hear you. And you know what? I'm impressed. For me, that reductionistic, minimalist way of looking at life and looking at this really weird illusion called time and then just not owning it for yourself, to me, that drops you off as kind of a pseudo guru.
You could go ahead and I'll take it.
Yeah. Even I'm going to go shaman. I'm going to go with a worldly contemporary shaman. I mean, that not everybody's rolling that way, Sam. You need to understand that's an evolved state of being.
Wow. I did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
Thanks for making that bridge and that connection.
Yeah. No, that's who we're talking. See, Jerrod, this is what I'm saying is that I'm working with a man who's just underneath the level of a god, or sometimes rolling around on the same stratosphere as God. And, this idea that we were tripping through our headphones and getting the link to work is just uncharacteristic of the way this man handles life. And,
it makes sense that he would go to self-flagellation then.
That's right.
Now we're talking. That's
absolutely. Got to set the record straight, the inner record straight. Self-flagellation is, it's better than self-flatulation, I suppose. That's the other direction I could go.
It isn't.
Self-flatulation.
This weekend, did you ever hear about prairie dogging? Anybody, either of you know about prairie dogging?
This is a totally new term to me. What's prairie dogging?
Jerrod's got it going on. He knows what prairie dogging is.
I've heard something about the term, yeah.
So it's when it's in that, you do a little, I grew up in Detroit, so we don't use the word flagellate. What was that, flagellation? We don't use that word. We don't use any word actually over 3 syllables. And so we just go with fart, we just go with fart. And so a lot of times
it's flatulation.
Oh, flatulation.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not talking about this. Oh, you're talking about.
No, I was saying self-flatulation.
Like
in other words, farting yourself is just as good, if not better, punishment than actually.
I'm actually going to go
flagellating yourself.
I'm going to go way rude here at the risk of being ostracized. I'm going to go here now. You guys one of you got to hold me up, even if the other one is completely offended. You guys have different experiences of farts than the average people do.
Oh,
both
amen.
of you.
What a great segue. What a great segue into our guest here. That's very relevant. Nicely done, Fred. Nicely done.
This took some work. Ask Alexandra. I've been practicing this fucking line all day.
You just landed the segue.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So tell me, look, our guests may not know. They probably know a little bit about Sam if they've listened to us before. They may not know Jerrod, or unless Jerrod's bringing his army of fans, for which there are likely millions. But not everybody knows what I'm talking about if I say that the two of you have we'll say a special, unique relationship with flatulation, or as they say outside of Detroit, inside Detroit, just a simple fart. And and the risk of a simple fart. We're talking, this is a high risk thing. Don't trust your farts. I learned that this weekend.
Don't trust your
Don't
farts.
trust your farts.
Tell us about how you learned that this weekend.
Well, there was
give us a little backstory for that. This is a good. There's got to be a story here. Did you shit your pants, Fred? Fred, did you? Fred is turning red.
Oh boy,
Fred, did you?
Look, I know I'm backing out of being like a professional physician and stuff, but there is some reputation that I need to sustain. And so this idea of me shitting my pants, it's not going to fly on air. We're going to edit this out. Ryan. We're not even going to let that question come through. Censorship. It's like our show. So I get to decide what shows up or not. So
oh my God.
I did not shit on myself, but I could have, and it was very possible that who I was with was going to. So the idea here was when there are some plant medicines, for instance, that cause purging in one way or another. And the second little bit less desirable, slightly less undesirable way to purge is out of the bottom. So, if I have to purge in a vomiting purging versus pushing it out of my ass, as they say in Detroit, I'm going to choose the one out of my ass. Okay. Of those two, I'm going to choose. I don't like vomiting that much. I just don't. I'm different. I don't like vomiting. And so
if you have a choice, so in this situation, it's almost like you're saying that you almost have a choice, like that you're going to either go ass or mouth. But you don't. It's not like you're just given that choice. You are.
Medicine. You're given a choice for your future. You create the future, and then you live into it.
Should I puke now? Should I puke?
It's almost like an ayahuasca trip.
Extremely similar, coming from the same Amazonian backwoods. Right. Exactly.
But just
like 8 Mile, like 8 Mile Road in Iowa, in Amazon, in the Amazon forest. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a prairie dog. This is the prairie.
Long way around the barn. I'm listening.
The prairie dog sticks his head out of the hole and goes back in. You know what I'm talking? That's what a prairie dog.
Got it.
Now you're getting it.
All right.
So in a prairie dog situation, if you're rolling around and I say that loosely, of course, this idea of rolling around again, excuse me for the rolling around theme too, because pretty soon I'm going to give away your guys' secret. But let's look. If you're rolling around with a prairie dog, which you guys actually both have done, like I've never actually rolled around with a prairie dog.
No.
But both of you know that there's nothing funny inherently about rolling around with a prairie dog. And in some ways, that relationship between a prairie dog and being afraid of farts, really is what sets the two of you apart from most people that I've ever met. So,
wow.
You see what you're both look at. You see, if the listeners are if the viewers are listening, wait, if the viewers are watching, they can see that I got the support from both of you while I make a fucking fool of myself.
I love where you've taken this, Fred.
So, look, I'm going to drop Sam, it's up to you now to just, to pick me up because I got nowhere to go from here. I'm either so low that there's no place lower, or I'm so high
this is
that I'm
brilliant. This is brilliant. Build yourself back up from this space. I'm really curious how this goes. You're on a good tangent, man. Good.
All right, so we got two features. I
just want to hear how you tie this all together.
We got two features. We got the rolling around with a prairie dog, something that both of you actually have intimate knowledge of what I'm talking about in ways that most human beings don't. Do I get it? Do I get an amen on that? Am I talking shit right there? That's true, right? You get that? You both got
Rolling
that?
around with a prairie dog.
And talking shit too. I'm talking shit.
I will say, I saw a meme. I saw a meme the other day of all these different size. It's like a stick figure, and he's holding all these different size turds. You know, some are small and some are big, and some are different shapes and colors. And he's got them all together like this. And the little thought that comes out of his head, he's like, "Ah, I finally got all my shit together."
Nice.
And so here we are.
Nice.
Look, the challenge to me is to get my shit together. I see the two of you staring me down. There's a lot of eyes looking at me right now like, hey, Dr. Fred, walk your way out of this one, bro. Let's see you. How, like, really, like, walk my way, which is, and that's my form of locomotion, is to walk my way out of it. That's again, where I feel just different. I feel different in this crowd because I walk my way out of this if I even can. There's not about me rolling my way out of it. And I've had prairie dogs. I've had prairie dogs.
Oh my God.
But I've never rolled around with prairie dogs. And I've been afraid of farting or as they say, flatulation. I've rolled with that. I know how to be Sam. I know about flatulations. But look, in a minute, I'm going to give you guys the ball. I feel like it's enough of an introduction for you guys to get the twin flames that the two of you are together. For me, like when I deal with one of you, I feel like I'm dealing with either of you. Anything I might say to the one of you, I really, it's easily applicable to the other one. And that's what, for me, that makes it really easy when I'm talking to both of you. In fact, it's like I'm seeing double. And all I really have to do is say anything I would have said to either of you because it lands for the other one as well.
So basically,
really
now you've just tied into that whole thing. Everyone in a wheelchair is the same person, basically.
Is that not true? Hold on. Whoa. Is that actually not true? Help me out, man. That's how I was raised. I don't know about you, but that's what I was.
That's so good. You're just like right at the fucking bottom of the ocean right now.
Yeah.
You're just continuing to play along at the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, how much more oxygen is down at the bottom of this ocean right now? What's it going to take for Fred to lift himself back up to surface? This is great.
Wow. So
this is a good one.
Now we're at a space where Sam's giving away a little bit of this now. You guys may have caught he was talking about being in a wheelchair, and that's something. I'm not in a wheelchair, but there's a couple other people on this call who are, and I think that's what he's referring to. So I just helping out our listeners there for a little bit of translation. And then to review where we've been, Sam asked me if everyone in a wheelchair is the same, and I told them that the way I was raised, that definitely everyone in a wheelchair is the same. So
does everyone in Detroit think that way?
That's right. Everyone. It's a Detroit thing. It's a Detroit thing you wouldn't understand. That's how that goes. Yeah.
Shit.
And
so
it's not like I'm a racist. So don't go there with me. Don't go there with me, bro. Neither of you. Don't be calling me a racist or a sexist or a classist. But as far as like a handicapist, a handicapist.
You're a legit ableist.
That's what.
Yes,
that's right.
A legit ableist through and through. Nice.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
proud of it. Yeah. So, wow. So, so both of you roll around in a wheelchair. Is this what I'm hearing?
Are we going to go back to farts or?
Oh, let's go there. Yeah, I didn't finish that one. Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't tie the fart thing back together.
Oh, God. All right.
I will say, let me know whenever you want me to jump in and save you. I could probably save you.
I appreciate the lifeline. I'm going to go a little bit further here. And I know that I now have a lifeline, at least one call to make in case things get really rough here. When you guys fart, do you ever like leap off? Does it ever push you off the chair for just like an inch?
Like
have you ever had
propulsion?
enough propulsion, reverse propulsion in your fart to actually like get a little bit of elevation?
I have not.
What if
Sam.
I said
You have to take
yes?
that one.
What if I just said yes? What if I tried to convince you that my 175-pound frame had actually been elevated off of my wheelchair from a fart?
Yeah.
That would be a seriously forceful fart. I would be afraid of what caused that and what might follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
It's kind of fun though. It's kind of fun because you get a little surprise here and there. And I've had some times where I farted and then I was literally didn't know who farted. You know, you hear a fart and you look around and you're kind of wondering who farted.
Look at Jerrod
And
landing that with you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I've had moments where it's like, you know, you hear a fart and it's like, I wonder who farted. Someone's not fessing up to the fart. And then it's like, wait a minute. Oh, I can't feel my ass. Maybe that was me.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally just did that the other day. I did one of my weight shifts. Ripped ass. I looked around in the car like, who did? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
That was me. I remember the first time that happened like it was yesterday. I mean, I was literally shocked. I thought for sure somebody wasn't admitting it. It didn't even occur. I mean, I heard the sound.
Right.
You know?
Getting a little agitated about it. Like, who's fucking lying here?
Right. Yeah, right.
And then you got to land with whoever smelt it, dealt it. You got to go with that one too, right?
Well, one thing is for sure, you never have to take credit for it in that situation, because if you can't, you know,
if you fart and you don't know it's you, did it really happen?
Yeah, it's like if a tree fell in the woods and there's no one to hear it. You know, if a fart came out your butt and there was no one to feel it, you know, did it really happen? Or at least is it you? I don't think there's anything to.
You're not lying for sure.
Certify that as yours if you can't. It didn't feel it. You know, you're kind of off the hook. You're kind of off the hook. As a paraplegic farter, you're kind of off the hook.
But here's the thing. What if you're alone? Does this change the stats at all? If you're just like you alone and you hear a fart or smell a fart or both, and you don't have access,
you don't have any experience.
What?
I think that can be a quite pleasurable experience. You know, something quite satisfying about that.
I'm curious
when you're all alone.
Curious, Sam. You know, I've actually found that not that I don't fart sometimes, but I don't. It rarely happens unless it's telling me, you know, I've got one in the chamber.
The chamber.
And
then, no, I haven't been a big farter either.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder if fart is a double function of an upright locomotion.
I think I just have a slow creep throughout the day. You know, it's like 24/7 slow creep. So it never turns into anything that's like a strong, you know, fart with actual fortitude. It's just like this slow incremental creep. 24/7. Yeah.
Leaving a trail. That's interesting.
Another thing you could do what we did by saving Jerrod and making up that bullshit that we were the problem and getting started today. You could go with, you know, you could just accept everybody's farts instead of leaving that person out there. You could go with I can't feel my ass. I don't know when I fart, and so that was probably me. You know, so let's say that beautiful woman over there farts, and you're like, she's ready to lose her. She's ready to, you know, the guy's ready to walk away.
I've done that before.
Yeah, you can save people.
That could have been me. I don't know. Excuse me.
Exactly.
And it might have been because, you know, it's like you hear it, you didn't feel it.
No.
Nothing unusual there.
Yeah. That's
That
like the
makes
selflessness that Mr. Morris was talking about earlier. That's just sheer fucking selflessness. That is like,
well,
that's
let's not
beautiful.
get too
It's
carried away.
beautiful. It's kind of tear
It's
jerking.
it's more like creating a safe space for whoever you're around, letting them know
I
they can
see.
be, you know,
Like a sacred space. Yeah.
they can be fully themselves around you. If
Yeah.
you can own a fart and have nothing about it, it's like it kind of puts people at ease.
Yeah.
So
Or if
much
you
so
wear
that
a
they might
T-shirt
fart
that
themselves.
says "Anyone farted?" That could have been me. It could have been me.
It could have been me is always worth saying. You're never lying if you say it could have been. Neither of you would be lying to go with that could have been me.
It could have been me. Yeah, exactly. You ever want to make someone feel calm?
Right. They're
You know,
embarrassed.
you're out on a date with someone
Yeah.
and they fart and they look like they're a little embarrassed. And you say, "It could have been me."
Yeah.
In fact, it probably was me.
Yeah. It probably was me.
That was probably me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That was
No
probably
worries.
me.
We're complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually
No
will
need.
say, I'll look over and go, "Was that me?" It's a great icebreaker. That gives them the opportunity to disown it if it was them, or to say, "Yeah, that was you." Yeah. I do
Oh
want to.
my
I do want to ask,
God.
but given
I
that I
love
was the
that.
one
That's
with
such
the
a
issue, with the technical issue, I'm
Mhm.
noticing these
Thanks
threads
for
on my
owning that.
computer.
It could have been me. It could have been me. It could have been me.
Perfect.
But go ahead. Because,
So
what were you going to say?
I'm noticing these little spikes by my name, but I'm not noticing very large ones by both of yours. Is my volume all right relative to yours?
Your volume is great. And
yours
because
is
you're
probably
on,
just much better than ours is probably what
as
the
long as you see
case.
the little scratches of Sam's on the bottom, and now you see the little itsy bitsy scratches, it's actually, it's correlated to the size of your member.
But I'm doing well in this group.
Yeah, so you've got a relatively large member, apparently.
Relatively speaking. Relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking.
Folks, we've moved from the back to the front. If you haven't been taking notes, we are traveling through the body, starting from the wheelchair up, and now we've moved to the ventral side, the yin side, if you will, of the body.
Yes,
The
the
yin
yin
side of the
side.
body,
Right.
and
We've
now we're exploring the size of our tools.
yes. We're really getting somewhere here. We are really getting somewhere here.
Now, if this was an X-rated show, which as I told you earlier, my reputation is still quite important to me, so we're not going to go with straight X. But if we were to go with straight X, which we're not going to do, I want to make that very clear. We could dig in right now to this relationship that either or both of you have to your tools. The problem with this is in a moment, you'll be asking me, able-bodied, upright, walking individual, about my relationship with my tool, and I'm so not interested in sharing that with anybody. But everyone, seriously, if you guys don't know this, everyone immediately is curious about your particular relationship with your tool.
Are you talking about my Allen wrench or my penis?
Because both of those are very useful in our situation. I think I have about 6 different sets of Allen wrenches laying around. For the viewers at home, we use Allen wrenches to adjust our wheelchair.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've lost Fred Moss.
Not at all. Not at all, bro. I'm just laughing. I had to laugh. It could have been me. See, this whole thing. Gosh, the whole thing could have been me. I want to make sure you both know that. And in reality, that's, we're not, I thank you for at least skimming for now over the top of whether or not I'm talking about your Allen wrench or your penis, or as he say in medical school, they don't even call it penis in medical school.
They call
They
it
call it
cock.
penis.
Penis? No, really?
Yes, they do, bro, because that's the way it's really written.
No.
So every so often, you know,
They call it penis? They
or
really
so,
do in medical school?
yeah. So every month or so, I would roll into class because I thought, you know, let's try this class thing one more time, okay? So you know, I'd put the frisbee down, wash off the coconut oil, and then roll into class. And I'd be there, and the physiologist dude would be there, you know, the physiologist professor, and he'd start talking, I'd start resting, you know, maybe take out my pen, think about taking notes or something. And most of the words I wouldn't understand. They'd be because I'm from Detroit and I only use 4 syllables max. And he'd be like 8, 9 syllable words. I'd be like, why am I here? And then out of his pie hole would pop the word penis. And I just would be like, dude, what did you just say? Why? What are you talking about? What is it? That's not what we call this in real life. We don't call this.
He was probably just trying to get your attention back. He was like, I've lost Fred. I better say penis again.
Yeah.
Fred's staring out the window. I better bring up the penis word.
Yeah, and vagina. You go with vagina.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Vagina.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard anybody say vagina, by the way. But penis I have heard. You know, I'm sorry. In case any doctors are still tuned in. Because the truth is, if there's any doctors tuned in, I'm shocked. I mean, at this point, they're like so disgusted with who I'm being as a doctor right now. They probably they switched over to Dr. Kildare.
They're reporting you to the Central Doctor Command or
that
whatever.
Could be.
At this point.
We're watching reruns.
So is plural penai? Penai? When you're talking about Panim.
With an M at the end.
Okay.
Well, yeah, right. It's because it's masculine.
Panim.
It's panim. Panini.
Yeah. So are you still leading us into discussing paraplegic penine? Is this where are we still going here, Fred?
Yeah, paraplegic
what penine. My relationship is with my paraplegic penny.
I think everyone is curious about your relationship, and I have opened a door now for you to either say or not say that which you choose to say, because I know you both have fielded questions either intimately or in a crowd when people feel protected, that you're not going to just like scorch them, because we got a bunch of walking people around, and then they just land the penis joke on you or something, and like, yes, hey Sam, what about your penis, or what about your tool, what about what's your relationship, or Jerrod, I'm sure you guys have at least managed to consider what the proper hilarious or solid or answer, like deflective answer might be to what your relationship is to your to your bodily tool, and your member, your dick. Like.
Well, I have a question, Fred. As a doctor, did you know that you could have a penile fracture?
No. Talk to me, bro. I don't know about this thing.
You didn't know you could have?
I'm a psychiatrist. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you can
talk to me. What is that? It's not even a bone.
Yeah, I know. That's what people say. So it turns out what it is a tear in the muscle fibers of your penis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And so
it's a tear, and that's called a fracture.
Yes, it's called a penile fracture.
It's a tear in the muscle fibers.
Do you put like a sling or a cast on it, or what the hell do you do?
No, what they do is they have surgery and they stitch you up. And you have to have surgery within 24 hours of a penile fracture, ideally, to prevent two things. One, future erectile dysfunction, and two, any return of sensation, if you were one who could have sensation there.
Mm-hmm. So well, given the amplitude... Yeah, given the amplitude.
So how do you break your dick? That's what I want to know. How does one actually
just land
break
on
dick?
it? A hard on? A front land? Fall off your chair on a hard on, or what's happening?
Like someone, your partner jumps off a table or something like that to land on top of you, and just hopes that their orifice lands on you.
And miss? They just miss a little.
Yeah, they just miss. Oh shit!
These are all possible explanations.
My man's autopsy.
Another one is when you slip out and you hit the pelvis. You hear like a little pop sound.
A
Oh.
pop.
Yeah,
Oh,
not good.
Fuck,
Not
man.
good.
slip
And
out and hit the
if you don't
pelvis.
have any feeling down there, then it won't hurt. Isn't that true?
It's correct. It won't
You just
hurt,
look
although
down.
it will hurt to look at.
Yeah, it hurts to look at. Sam actually told me a story about his accident, which, with all due respect, really, with all massive due respect to both of you, there was a realization at one point that things weren't going to go well for Sam when he looked down at what was happening to his lower body in the emergency room. And I imagine maybe you had a similar experience where it's like, fuck, this is not what I pay. This is not what I, not what I,
I didn't
it's
pay
not what
money
I
for this.
was. I didn't pay money for this.
Didn't sign up for this
Didn't
shit.
sign up for this one. That there was an experience that he described for me quite vividly of like a turning point in his life that had a little bit to do with his relationship with his member, with his cock, Yeah. We're keeping
Man,
this.
I think we all have a relationship with our member.
Yeah. Well, I have a relationship with my member, but I already told you that's off limits for this conversation. We're actually talking about both of yours.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, here's a somewhat serious answer to otherwise hysterical conversation, and that is that I don't want to minimize the challenge of being a man who relatively early on in life loses all sensation and function. I'm not sure what Jerrod's situation is, but with my situation, I lost all sensation and all function with my member, and that has been since November 9th, 1999. So almost 22 years. My dick has been on permanent hiatus, and it's an emotional. I mean, at that stage of your life, I was 24 years old when my injury happened. It is an emotional just nightmare, or at least it was for me in so many ways, because there's all of this conditioning in our culture around manhood being related to, we even call it your manhood, we even use that terminology. And so while on a sort of, a higher kind of spiritual level, I was aware that this was, not something that could define my manhood. On a very human level, I was very much impacted by it for many years, and it did lead to a lot of insecurities. And ultimately, what I've discovered through that was that one's manhood has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with one's sexual function. And so, in a sense, it's like I feel like I've graduated from that program, whereas a lot of able-bodied men are still hanging out terrified of the notion of eventually losing their ability to get an erection or maintain an erection. To me, I'm like, big fucking deal. Been there, done that. Who cares? I'm done with it. It's not something that I don't even think about it anymore. And so it's not impacting me emotionally in a way where, a lot of perfectly able-bodied men at some point will have to go through that process. They will have to go through that emotional transitional period. And I'm like, I'm already done with that. I don't have to go through that. I've been there, done that, bought the ticket. It's over. I'm good. I've discovered that my manhood is not something that is up for grabs based on my sexual function or lack thereof.
Well, and sexual function isn't really limited to that either,
Exactly. Well, I mean,
you're pretty sexually functional.
That's a whole other thing. Ask any woman that's been with me since my injury, and they'll tell you that the sexual function thing is actually going pretty damn well.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're getting your job done.
Yeah, the job is getting done. Let's put it that way. Exactly. It's just a slightly different technique.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a less selfish technique too, because when you're not focused on your own genital satisfaction, you can focus a lot more on what's important. Ask a woman whether she's more interested in the guy focusing on his own stimulation or focusing on her satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're probably going to get the latter any day.
It's been my experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Neither of you.
feel like I could write a book on this topic here.
You should.
Well, neither of you are at a loss for women, just loving you to death. And I love you both to death as well. But it's like the sexuality aspect of it, the idea that somehow you're left damaged is really mythical. It's not real at all. You're left in some ways with a pathway to freedom. I say as if I know what I'm talking about, but there seems like there is like a relief or an exhale or a pathway to a new description or a new way of being around one's sexuality when quadriplegia or inability to function sets in some sort of seemingly permanent way. I'd love to hear more about what you think about that, like a pathway to freedom.
Well, first I'd like to just be mindful that that not every person who's paralyzed has the same experience with sex or with their sexual organs. So some people can still feel a little bit, or they can feel a lot. Some people can have an orgasm. Some people can't. And also, Sam, the context that you created there and living inside of that context, to me, is one that's very empowering. Has you show up in the world able to be fully transparent and alive and engaged with your partner or whoever it is that would want to discuss this topic. And I'm sure on your experience as well, I've spoken to a lot of people with paralysis who haven't created an empowering context around their current sexual activity. Indeed. And they do look at it like they've lost some manhood.
For sure.
And
for sure, I think it's important to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for myself, I would concur with you. It certainly has become, once accepted, it has become actually a benefit. Because I always say, at some point when a man is having sex with a woman or another man, however they're engaged, they think about ejaculating at least twice, right? At least twice, probably a lot more than that, right? But at least twice during that experience. One is, I don't want to come too soon, right? Or I'm getting ready to come. And whatever, in either one of those situations, their attention is not on the woman. They're distracted. For sure. So when you remove those barriers, you can be fully immersed with your partner and you can be fully present to what actually feels good to them and guide them, into their own bliss and their own ecstasy. And once that space is created between the two of you, you can't help but be in that experience yourself. So whether you have an orgasm or not, you're still in that world of ecstasy. I think, at least that's been my experience.
Well said. Well said. Beautifully said.
Indeed.
And I just out of curiosity, Sam, are you married?
No, I've been married, but I've been divorced for the past couple of years.
I got one of those too under my belt.
You do, huh?
I got two. So
see, all paraplegics are the same. Fred was right.
I knew that when look, I knew that when you said you had one, that Jerrod would say he had one. I didn't know the truth, but I knew that you would both have one because if one of you had one, then clearly the other one did too.
We both have facial hair.
Yeah.
We both have an ex-wife.
Yeah.
We
What more
both
do you need? I
find,
think I got a pattern. I think I got a pattern here, a reliable pattern.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing well.
Yeah.
Like 3
Well,
for 3. Although I'm the only one who has actually elevated himself above his wheelchair with a fart. So I don't think Jerrod has actually done that.
it's not like Jerrod said no. He didn't say no. He just refused to answer.
No, I did say no. I did. I did. Fred, you
Oh,
talked
okay.
over me. That's what happened.
Oh,
But I
oh
do
man.
want
All
to
right.
say, just for the record, I am an open book. You know, you can ask, we can talk about anything in case you hadn't figured that one out yet.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, it's been being
clearly,
paralyzed,
clearly.
clearly, right? Farts and sex. I mean, nowhere
Yeah.
else to go but up from here.
That's right. Yeah. Well, say what you have to say, and I think Look, we actually have learned a little bit about Sam's injury, and we'll learn more about it. And I suppose the injury is like the easiest place that us, non-Jerrods would be interested. Whoa, what happened? What was that day, or what occurred, or how long ago, or what happened to create the transformation of your relationship with this skin bag that's yours, like what happened. And I really don't know your story, Jerrod, and I'm not sure that's really what I'm even asking. I think I'm asking you to answer not the standard question of really what happened, but land close to that and bring us where you are when like, what is your experience as you explore that transformation, or as you explore what you were and what you are now, or what is something like that. And I invite you to continue to capture poetic license in any answer you recite.
All right, thank you. Well, I think in life, to be human is to not just have one wake up call, but to have several, or maybe an infinite number of wake up calls. And ever since I was little, I've always been into personal development and personal growth, looking at the next thing to take on. I just found it fascinating, this idea of development. And so I think that so I was in a car accident. Is how I became paralyzed. So I'm a Asia A complete, for those that know T10. So basically from thoracic 10 down, about mid back, low to mid back down, I can't feel or move anything. And that occurred in 2014. So I was 32 at the time. And I think that being equipped to, while it was obviously the entire world gets completely adjusted and reorganized. But creating a context for your life ongoingly, moment by moment, that would have you not be reflecting on the past and what you can no longer do, but rather focused on the future and what it is that you could do, or what is now possible given the current set of circumstances that you find yourself in. And I don't think you necessarily, I don't think a person needs to go through a traumatic event for that context to be true, because our circumstances are constantly changing and shifting. And we are all already masters of our circumstance, or at least our past circumstances. That's how we survived to go from babies to toddlers. We had to master what it is to be a baby in order to survive, to become a toddler, and then from a toddler to, adolescence and all the way on up. But we don't relate to our lives in general, I would say, as one who is proficient in dealing with what it is that is in front of us. And I think that shift right there, to be present to that, is to really take on life and has one looking at what is now possible given where they find themselves. So I don't know if that
Beautifully said.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, because I can so totally relate, obviously, since we're all the same person, since everyone in a wheelchair is the same. I can completely relate to this, I believe, through, you're talking about examining the past. You can't go back and recover the past. You have to be looking at the present forward. And I think the stark reminder of that on a day by day, moment by moment basis is very, there's something empowering about the fact that the situation that you are presented with does not go away. It's not like you can kind of hide from it. It's not like you can go to, it's not like one of those things where, say, you go through a challenging period and you kind of go and drink it off, or you kind of, you find some sort of outlet that numbs you to the pain, but you don't really ever deal with the past. So you're kind of holding on to it. With a situation where you experience paralysis, it's so obvious in every moment of every day that there is the past that cannot be recovered, and then there is what is possible now and moving into the future. And it's such a obvious reminder in every moment of every day. It just doesn't, you live with that reminder. You live with that reminder every single moment of every single day.
Yes.
How does that resonate with you? I see you're nodding your head a little bit there.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting because, until we can really make an impact on our lives moving forward in any direction, there's a certain level of acceptance of what is currently. And to
Yes.
your point, one of the things I've often said to people that I have compassion, for instance, for people with cancer, something that you can't see, something that isn't readily right there up in front of your community's face. I couldn't be in line, for instance, at a grocery store, and I get to see a part of humanity that most people don't experience on a moment to moment, day to day basis. People willing to help me, willing to move out of my way, willing to try to make my life a little easier. Whereas somebody who has an internal issue, they don't, it's not like it's like we have a sign, basically, hey, I'm dealing with something.
Right.
And they might get,
Right.
this, that friction or that sort of survival that most of us, go through life kind of in this survival mode, protecting ourselves from strangers. And we could be a threat.
Right.
And so in many ways, I think that this has given us the opportunity to experience humanity in a whole different capacity.
There's definitely something to exactly what you're just saying. It's like there's sort of an invitation almost with a physical disability. It's sort of an invitation for compassion from people. It's an invitation for, and on the level of, one of the things that I had to work through was a level of being able to receive others' support and help because they wanted to. Because one thing I remember very clearly from, especially the first few years after becoming paraplegic, was this sort of fierce individual determination, like not wanting to give up, being so determined to do as much as I possibly could independently, because of the fact that so much of my independence was actually removed from me. And so wanting to double down on the things that I could be independent with. So there was a bit of a challenge with being able to receive help when help was offered. And at the same time, that help being available is, it's a window into humanity and compassion, and the compassion that's actually there, that a lot of people, I think you said it well, a lot of people simply don't have that opportunity to experience that.
Let me say something. I actually have a personal experience that I want to share with you. And going back to my medical school years, 1984 to I guess 1989, if you include the internship, one of the things that we had in our physical medicine and rehabilitation PM&R rotation is we were given an assignment to be in a wheelchair for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And roll around Chicago in a wheelchair. And my experience for that 24 hours does not resonate with what you're saying for the most part. It was really learning the hardships, how to negotiate curbs and, how to get across the street in time, those kinds of things that you now have incorporated into your day-to-day life of, when and how to move and where and how to get through crowds, or how to, be careful on turning. And so, one of the things I guess I'm here, and if I remember correctly, there was even some snow on the ground when we had their rotation. So that was another area that we had to work through. And I remember people treating me like I was stupid. So talking slow and loud to me. If they were going to say anything, they would stop and get in my face and then talk slow and loud as if I somehow couldn't speak anymore or didn't need it, like from another, planet or another.
They should leave that to me, Fred, to speak to you slowly, and they should have left that to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told a lady once, I said, I'm paralyzed. I'm not hard adhering.
Yes, right. Right. So that's what I'm talking about. Like they talk loud. What is that? It's really, I also one time had my mouth wired shut for some surgery, and that it didn't stop me from talking, but it got me talking with my teeth like this. So I had to really negotiate how to speak to people with my teeth wired up, and I tried to buy a used car during that time. So I made several phone calls. And I didn't keep very good records. So, looking for a Mustang or something. I didn't keep very good records of the calls. And so the next day the paper would come and I'd look at the classifieds again. I'd be like, I don't remember that ad. I think and every so often I would call the same people I called yesterday, and they'd just get furious. They would immediately recognize me and then hang up the phone, like, dude, you already called me yesterday. Click. It's like, wow. Or when they were talking, they would talk slow and loud, as if I was not only hard of hearing, but, slow of mind. And it's like we so-called, Sam and I have had some really brilliant discussions about this concept of, who's less handicapped. In some ways, who's less disabled now? Like the most, Sam is in some ways the least disabled person I know, and you too, of course. But there's something like it free. Gosh, and I know I'm treading on thin. Well, please
No,
allow me to be here.
it's all good. You're going to a good place here. This is good.
Yeah,
you
it's
had
like,
to get here somehow.
Well, if I had to go from prairie dogs, I had to get here. I had to go 28,000 feet to get here. So give me some props on that one.
Yeah, indeed.
We'll give you some time to land the plane.
So there is something about the fact that you maybe are less handicapped, less disabled, more free, more able, perhaps not more able-bodied, but able human than those of us who are struggling with all the illusions that, whether my dick gets hard is my masculinity, or, the fact that I can walk means that I'm free, or all the other iterations of that. But I really see that there's a freedom here that if I open my mind, I could almost theoretically become envious of your situation, of the exploration or the findings or the discoveries or the unconcealings that may have naturally occurred in your case, Jerrod, 7 years, or in Sam's case, I guess it's what, how many years now? It's
22 almost.
22 years ago. That there's like daily discovery, and yet suffering all three of us have, all 7.8 billion of us have, and it's defined differently, but there's something that you two have, and people who roll around in a wheelchair have, that we able bodies don't have simple access to. And there's some, I'd like for you both to address that. Like, what's here when you see Sam? You and I have had this discussion, so I really would like to gracefully
let it be Jerrod. Jerrod.
Well, I would say it's not like a given for sure. It's a possibility. Like there's a possibility that one who has a disability could interpret their life in such a way that they notice that they have gained gifts from it, or mastery of life in particular realms. And so, I definitely don't want to take anything away from the general stigma of how people relate to people with disabilities. And it takes something oftentimes to give them space, depending on where somebody with a disability is, maybe emotionally, what they're going through that day in that moment. And someone tries to help you, or they talk down to you as if you're less than, or like there's something you're unable to accomplish. But it's so there's that. But then you look at what was it Edison? I can't remember. One of the big maybe it was Rockefeller. One of the big capitalists back in the 20s. They had a monopoly, and they were. He went to court, and they were gonna strip him of all his businesses and throw him in jail. And he finally said, "Listen." And they were asking him questions about engineering and science, and he couldn't answer those questions directly. He said, "Listen, on my phone, on my desk, there's a phone. I pick up that phone and I push a button, and I can have the answer to that question that you just asked. So, do I really deserve to have everything stripped from me?" Now, what I'm getting at is part of life, if not all of life, what we have is from our community, the people around us, everything. And that's true from the most able-bodied person to the most disabled person. And if one gets trained in allowing other people to contribute to them, which is a big element to it, then they can have what they want. Perhaps even more of what they want when they're trained in allowing people to contribute. Because we all love it when we contribute to others. So why not give people the gift of allowing them to contribute? Now, having said that, I am by no means, I have gained facility in that department, but by no means, I would say a master at that, right? And I still can get, pissed off when someone tries to help me when there's something that I think that I can do, similar to what you were saying in the beginning for you, Sam. I can still be that way. But, as a general rule, I would say that I have gained a lot of facility in that department. And so that could be an advantage for somebody with a disability if they have recognize that that's something that is actually valuable, to allow others to contribute to them. Whereas somebody who doesn't have that might still be unwilling to not be to acknowledge that they're not independent, but they're interdependent on their community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well said.
Beautiful, Jerrod.
Yeah,
well said. I think that we live in an illusion of autonomy, and I think in the Western world that gets particularly emphasized because we have such a focus on the accomplishments of the individual in this culture. And so there's this illusion of autonomy that comes along with that. But we are inherently an interdependent species. We would not be surviving if we weren't an interdependent species.
Mhm.
So it's a total illusion that we are independent, autonomous people. Might as well get over it, and disability kind of forces you to get over it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Forces you. Yeah.
Forces. And then, except, Sam, if I recall, like 59 minutes ago, you were mentioning that, your particular time is less valuable than everybody else's time. Like, you have yourself being pretty fucking special, if you don't mind me saying so. And I don't have it that you really see yourself necessarily through that comment as being an interdependent being. I have it you thinking that you're outside of our range and that you're pretty spectacular in your own right because your time is less valuable than all of ours. So can you comment on that? I mean, you think you're badass. I love how you speak and stuff, but I think I'm calling you on something real here, and I'd like you to handle that.
I maintain that my time is still less valuable than everyone else's.
All right.
I maintain that.
All right. I'll have the listeners and viewers, come up with whatever conclusion they do with this one. I mean, that's fine. It's fine, Sam. You had your opportunity, and that's a cool answer. I'm good with that.
How do we upgrade?
Well,
how do we upgrade that, Sam? How do we upgrade that conversation?
Yeah.
You playing small.
Oh, 101.
What was it Nelson Mandela said? I think you playing small doesn't serve the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just kidding. No,
Sam,
my time is infinitely valuable, but I still choose to give it all away.
Yeah, it's like reaction formation. Yeah, I give it now we're going to core wound, and that would be for our next podcast. That's like, my time is infinitely valuable, and still I give it all away. Now we're going to sheer martyrdom. That is freaking awesome. Really, I love that.
There's a nugget in there. There's a good nugget.
There is for sure, right? Some sweetness in there.
Yeah.
I promised someone that I could.
That could be the way to like having your time be infinitely valuable by giving it all away.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, I think we can tie a ribbon around this conversation with that gem right there. That's pretty sweet, actually. So I did promise my wife and some visitors who are here in Grass Valley that I would be at a picnic in about 12 minutes, and they're about 9 minutes away. So as we close, if you don't mind, Jerrod, I'd love for you to let us know, how can we get hold of you? Any of our listeners or viewers are curious about you, want to follow you. We didn't really get so much into what else you do in your life except fart on wheelchairs and roll around thinking that you got things going on by catching aspects of humanity that us able-bodied people don't. But we really didn't get to talk much about what you do for your life. And there might be people out there who are really curious or want to learn about you. How would they get in touch with you?
That's great. Thanks, Fred. Well, I'm still working on this whole social media thing, but I am on Facebook, so that dates me. And I have an Instagram account that I don't check very often. But I would like to get a plug in for NASCIC, the North American Spinal Cord Injury Consortium. And awesome. One of the things that we do there is we look at different projects and review them and write letters of support for people or organizations who are out to cause a transformation in our community. So we're looking for more community involvement, people living with a spinal cord injury, and having them have a say in the research that is going on to either improve the lives of those that are currently living with paralysis, or to further the research in that area as well. So membership is free. Be great to people who are interested to check them out.
I'd love to be a member. I'm going to be a member. So please put the link out here.
Now we're talking about Fred's member.
You finally
We
got,
finally came around to Fred's member here.
which I think was the only open. It was the only open topic. I think we've covered everything and made the ends meet, except talking about my member. So now that we've done so, I'm about to be a member, and
Otherwise known as your penis.
my penis.
Yes.
Gentlemen, it has been super fun. And Sam, you're awesome. And Jerrod, what a sweet guest you are. I thank you for, I told Jerrod beforehand that I told him, he said, well, how do I prepare? And I said, wash away all your inauthenticities. And he said, that's a tall order. And then I said, well, then face the group of hungry hyenas that Sam and I are going to bring. And on top of that, the flock of vultures. I don't even know if vultures come in flocks. I think they do. I'm not sure. I mean, what else could they come in? And
could he have handled it more beautifully?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he could have handled it more beautifully.
Yeah, he did. Really super beautiful. Super beautiful.
Well, it's been a privilege and an honor, gentlemen.
Really, really
Likewise, Jerrod. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. Stay on, Sam. Let me, when I close this up, we got to make sure the tracks unfold. So here we go. And to our listeners and viewers, thanks for hanging on. I hope you had a great time. And really, there's a lot of love here. And I hope that, I really hope that soaks through. I love both of you like sin, seriously. Not more than sin, about as much as sin. So thank you very much.
Love you too, Fred. Thanks to all our listeners and viewers.